Hidden beneath the rainforests of Central America is the corpse of a megacity. They are older than medieval Europe, older than many modern nations, and for centuries they were completely lost to the world. This is Tikal, once one of the most powerful cities on Earth, a city of kings, of pyramids, of absolute power. And then, silence. No invasion, no burning, no final battle, just abandonment. For decades, we thought we understood Tikal. We believed it was a quiet city of priests and farmers. We were wrong. New technology has revealed that Tikal was a megacity, a New York of the ancient world, and the center of a superpower war, a chemical disaster, and a collapse so severe it erased an entire civilization from the map. This is the story of the city the jungle took back. Welcome to the Lost World Project. To understand why Tikal fell, you first have to understand what it actually was. For 100 years, archaeologists walked through these forests, counting the ruins they could see. They estimated the population was maybe 60,000 people. But in 2018, everything changed. Researchers used LiDAR, laser mapping technology, to scan the jungle from an airplane. When they processed the data, they didn't just find a city. They found a system so vast that if one part failed, everything failed with it. The laser stripped away the canopy and revealed over 60,000 structures, houses, palaces, highways, and forts hidden in the darkness. Tikal wasn't an isolated village. It was the heart of a sprawling, interconnected urban network that may have supported populations in the millions across the wider Maya lowlands. They built massive elevated highways called sakbeub that stretched for miles, hovering above the swampy jungle floor. They terraformed the earth. But with this massive scale came a massive problem. Tikal was about to enter a war it couldn't win. We often think of the Maya as a peaceful people gazing at the stars. In reality, the classic Maya world was a political bloodbath, and Tikal was the prize. For centuries, Tikal was the dominant superpower, but to the north, a rival was rising, the city of Calakmul, the kingdom of the snake. The Snake Kings didn't attack Tikal directly. They were smarter than that. They played a geopolitical chess game. They formed alliances with the cities surrounding Tikal, encircling their enemy. And in 562 AD, the trap snapped shut. Tikal's king, Wakchan Kawil, known as Double Bird, was captured. He wasn't ransomed, he was sacrificed. His death shattered the city. For the next 130 years, Tikal went silent. No new monuments were built, no history was written. Archaeologists call this period the hiatus. It was a century of humiliation. But Tikal didn't die, it waited. In 682 AD, a new king took the throne, Yasa Chan Kawil I. He rebuilt the army, he gathered his people, and in a final, decisive battle, he crushed the Snake Kings and broke their grip forever. To celebrate, he launched the greatest construction boom in Maya history. Temple 1, the iconic Jaguar temple seen in so many photos, became his tomb, a 150-foot gravestone for the man who saved the world. But life in Tikal wasn't just about war. If you walked these streets 1,200 years ago, you would hear the roar of the crowd. You would head to the Pete's Court. The Maya ball game was arguably the first team sport in human history. But this wasn't soccer. The ball was made of solid rubber and could weigh up to 9 pounds. Players wore thick protective yokes around their waists. It was fast, it was violent, and it was deeply religious. The game reenacted the myth of the hero twins defeating the lords of the underworld. Sometimes it was played for entertainment, sometimes it was played to settle political disputes, and sometimes it was played for blood. There is evidence that in high-stakes ritual games, the defeat was final. The losers, or sometimes the winners depending on the era, were sacrificed to the gods so the sun would rise again. Tikal survived war, it survived drought, but it could not survive its own success. Tikal had defeated the Snake Kings, it had built the greatest temples, But an invisible enemy was already inside the city walls, and this enemy was of their own making. Tikal had no river. They relied entirely on massive reservoirs to catch rainwater. For centuries, they kept this water clean using sand filtration and aquatic plants like water lilies that purified it. But recently, scientists from the University of Cincinnati analyzed the mud at the bottom of these ancient reservoirs. They found something shocking: toxic levels of mercury. The Maya loved the color red. They painted their temples, their plazas, and their ceramics with a pigment called cinnabar. Cinnabar is mercuric sulfide. Every time it rained, that mercury washed off the temples and flowed directly into the reservoirs. The ruling elite who lived inside the palace were drinking from the most poisoned water sources in the city. The water in the palace reservoirs became so toxic that the water lilies could not survive. Without the plants, blue-green algae took over. The water turned into poison. The kings of Tikal weren't just thirsty, they were slowly poisoning themselves, losing their judgment, their health, and their grip on reality. By 800 AD, the perfect storm had arrived. The population was too high, the forests were gone, cut down for firewood and farming. The soil was eroding, the kings were sick. And then the weather turned. Stalagmites in nearby caves record a century of megadroughts between 800 and 900 AD. For a city that relied on rain, this was the end. When the water dries up, the gods have failed. When the gods fail, the king has no power. The people didn't wait for permission, they just left. They walked away from the great stone towers, fading into the jungle and leaving the city to the ghosts. Tikal slept for 1,000 years. But in 1977, it woke up in a very different way. George Lucas was looking for a location for his new science fiction movie. He wanted a rebel base that looked ancient and alien. He found Tikal. If you watch Star Wars Episode 4, the rebel base on the moon of Yavin 4 isn't a set, it's Tikal. The shot of the rebel sentry watching the Millennium Falcon land was filmed from the top of Temple 4, looking out at the very temples King Jasa built to celebrate his victory. A real lost world, playing a fake one. What makes Tikal haunting is not that it fell. Civilizations fall all the time. What makes Tikal haunting is that they never realized what was killing them. They were the masters of their world. They engineered the landscape. They charted the stars, they defeated their enemies, but they poisoned their own water. They cut down their own shield, and when the climate shifted, they had no margin for error left. Tikal stands today as one of the greatest achievements of the human spirit and a silent warning about how power can make civilizations fragile. Tikal didn't fall because it was weak, it fell because it was powerful, and power made it fragile. This was the city the jungle took back, and this is the Lost World Project. If you enjoyed this deep dive, we have a video coming up on the lost city of Cahokia, the American metropolis that vanished without a trace. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.